Hey, welcome into the Snap. We've got our last mock draft of the 2022 offseason before us tonight, drafting with several of our community members, drafting with my guy Lando and producer Scott. We're going to do a 12-team Superflex draft tonight. Landon drafting from the front and your boy Mac from the back. Going to take some different approaches tonight. I'm going to be, open and honest. I am probably going to try a 0 RB approach, which is my now favorite strategy for back end Superflex drafts. But we'll see how it goes. It never goes to plan, does it, Lando? That's why we mock draft.
Never. This is the last mock draft of the season. Welcome in, everyone. Hopefully, you're enjoying the channel. We have been popping lately, so make sure to comment down below if you have questions about your mock drafts, your real drafts. We can help you with trades, waivers. Show us your lineups, and we'll give you our feedback on that. So we do have a free Discord channel as well if you want to join that. It'll be in the episode description as well, and you can join that. We have a great community of guys that are likely in this mock draft and will help you throughout the entire season, help you win that league and make smart moves throughout the season.
That's what it is. Hopefully you all had a great long weekend. Tomorrow, Monday, is a holiday for us up here in the beautiful land of Canada, and draft season in full swing. We've done tons of drafts, still navigating some best ball drafts, some slow drafts, and looking forward to this week. It's going to be awesome. So one last one to kick it off. We've got a handful of spots open. If you are in the YouTube stream and not in the draft, feel free to grab a spot. But I think in about the next 30 seconds or so, we're going to let this one fly. And I think you're the man to start this draft, Lando.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll be talking strategy today and kind of help you if you're just cramming before your real draft, try to get strategy. We'll talk through Max said about his strategy going 0 running back, and I'll go through my strategy and kind of talk about these guys as it goes. Picks we do like, we don't like. Maybe as we go, Mac, we can talk about like our least favorite pick per round, like player per round. Like what one player are we avoiding in each round? Now, to a point, value becomes great. Like if a guy drops multiple rounds, he becomes a value, and then that's great. But as we go, we can maybe talk through this draft and see, give some feedback as we go.
We put in that DeAndre Hopkins video of, where do you draft him? Do you draft him at current cost, or do you pass on him? And some people have commented on the video like, hey, I'm getting DeAndre Hopkins in the 12th, 13th, 14th round. He's just kind of sitting there. And it's like, well, at that point, I do like the value. I do like the upside because he's not costing you, your wide receiver 3 slot at, he's being drafted in the back of the 6th, beginning of the 7th. Like that cost is much more detrimental than, say, a 13th, 14th round pick. So it is all, it's all dependent on context for sure. So everything's not as it is in a vacuum, but like Landon said, if you have any questions, pop them in the YouTube chat tonight, and we will get to them as we go.
I'm going to get this draft going, so we won't delay here now. We do have some auto drafters, which is also fine. It'll speed up the draft, and it may be more typical of your casual league mates and what they do. So I was actually hoping I would get Justin Herbert here at the 3rd pick. Man, I'm going to go Lamar Jackson with my
I like that.
3.
I had the 2nd pick in our best ball Superflex best ball league, and I also took Lamar. I took Lamar over Herbert. It went Allen, then to me, I took LJ, and I think I like to diversify. Jalen Hurts going at 4 is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to have the elite quarterback early in the top, I would say 5 or 6 picks is so valuable in a Superflex format. Now, there comes a point where Jonathan Taylor is a great pick. Christian McCaffrey is a great pick. Even a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, they're great picks. But to have one of these kind of, I would say it's a top 5 if you want to include Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow in that list. But man, it's such a positional advantage getting these guys. Having the elite quarterback this year feels more important than ever.
Absolutely. I was going to say, if another quarterback went there, it'd be really hard for me not to take, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. But looking down the board, like a Prescott Wilson would be a really solid stack for me here. It's so hard to get away from that, even though I have Cup and Jefferson or Cup and Chase available to me here right now. Man, I'm gonna go against my better judgment. I know that going with a quarterback is definitely the play. So I'm going to go with Prescott, and we'll see what Brad does here on the turn.
He hasn't logged
But
in yet. He's on the clock.
He was there. He's probably floating around. I'll probably lose Russell Wilson to him here, but hopefully he would come back to me. But I'd be okay with a Stafford, a Rodgers, even a Kirk Cousins is fine. But we'll see. But yeah, really hard for me, not to go a wide receiver there.
Yeah, it's tough because I like Ziploc taking Jefferson. Obviously, Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase are there as well. But when you have a turn pick like McKenzie has here, he knows he's going to get likely one of Kupp, Adams, Chase. I mean, there's no way. Or Stephon Diggs, I guess. So there's 3-4 good wide receivers he can get in that top tier echelon, that tier one. We'll do a video this week about our tiers going into week one. Running back, tight end, quarterback, wide receiver, and really tier the top. So you can give you the confidence to start these top tier guys. But yeah, so Austin Eckler goes likely. I would say a quarterback goes for Chelly here on the turn. So Mac, you will still have your pick at wide receiver if that is your selection.
So my thought about going double quarterback here, even though there's been 7 quarterbacks go off the board before me, it's that my 2 quarterbacks, if I continue to sort of push that run, my 2 quarterbacks will be better than, say, your 2 quarterbacks if you elect to take one. If there's a secondary run in the second round going back, a Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson might be better than a Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr. And that's what I'm hoping for, is to just sort of push the value away from you and have you to maybe pivot a little bit. But that's the idea. Worked out in the favor. Eckler and Jamar Chase goes at the turn, and I can't pass on Russell Wilson. So I'll just open up with Prescott Wilson here.
So I really actually like that, just because you don't have one of the, in my opinion, the top tier guys like Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. You get 2 really good top of the second tier guys, and your combo is going to be better than my combo of Lamar Jackson potentially. And well, maybe I guess I can go Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, depending on what's available. But you have 2 really good quarterbacks. So I like the strategy, Mac. And you kind of have to. In every draft, you can go in with a strategy, but you have to adapt to what is going on.
Exactly.
Only it's very light in wide receiver, so there's going to be a lot of value late. So maybe taking the elite quarterback is a great strategy. And there's always a thirst for running back as well. You'll see that in every single draft. So
that's been something that I've been getting away from this year. Because I did so well with it last year, was anytime you're in a Superflex league, I always try to double up at quarterback. But like Lennon said, you have to kind of stay water. Things can change. But I like to go double quarterback to start. And then from there, it's just hammer wide receiver. It's actually get away from the running back thirst, so to speak. And just kind of go 0 RB, especially in leagues where you start 3 wide receivers. Having to start that extra wide receiver each week does put more stress on that position. And if you think about it, you have 1 to 2 flex spots. You can start anywhere from 3 to 5 wide receivers on a given week. That means you only have 2 running back spots to figure out. So I'm very pro double quarterback, hammer wide receiver after that, and figure out running back later. Grab your Kareem Hunts and Damian Pierce's and just try to makeshift something together at running back. It is what it is, but you'll be so much better off elsewhere if you do that.
And it's always good to kind of zig when people are zagging. Like it's always important to not have the same strategy as everyone else.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, if everyone has the exact same strategy, then it's
It
so
don't work.
50-50. It's a coin toss on each matchup. Um, so if everyone's smashing quarterback
Ooh,
early, like I just did here, hey, going wide receiver, getting the Jefferson Cups, the elite of the elite, the Jefferson Diggs, that gives you such a big advantage because you have these positional advantages, and then
right.
get the late round running backs like Mac was saying, get the late round quarterbacks like a Baker Mayfield, Davis Mills. Those are still going to be available very, very late. So I really like just really switching up your strategy. I mean, no one's going tight end here, which is kind of crazy to start a draft.
Oh, are you
Um,
gonna go tight end too, Kelsey?
I thought about Travis Kelsey here, but man, if none of them are going, then I think it feels like I'm just going to keep on waiting. I'm gonna go to
All
Stephon Diggs.
all it takes is one person to start that run, and then things start happening.
I'm kind of
Griff
surprised
here
he's
says, sorry, Griff here says starting. He's in a league where you have to start one running back, three wide receiver, and three flex. I mean, that seems like the perfect league to go hero RB.
sure. I mean, yeah, take one and then don't take another until in the late rounds.
Round
There's a
seven,
lot
eight,
of
nine.
really good late round running backs you can take. I mean, Damien, who do you like between Damien Harris and Ramondre Stevenson?
Hmm.
Um, Ramondre's going looks like pick 115, where Damien Harris is going roughly pick 91. So take the later guy. That's a great pick. Chase Edmonds is another great late round running back pick.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, Rashad Penny, Chase Edmonds. Um, who else?
I mean,
I guess you could say Harris or Stevenson.
yeah.
Pretty solid.
I mean, I'm a big fan of
Ken
James
Walker, if you
Cook.
want to. James
Yeah,
Cook.
if you're in a full PPR league, a guy like James Cook has a lot of shine to me. He profiles as a pass catcher, uh, could be very much more talented than Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary projects to have the work early in the season. As James Cook gets more acclimated to the NFL, he could have a bigger role.
I
So
I do like taking shots on Daryl Henderson, who, if as advertised, is a 50-50 split with Cam Akers, getting him in the 140th overall pick is fantastic. Ken Gainwell in a PPR league, really, really solid. And
yeah.
then Tyler Algier is another one who has a chance to earn a starting workload. So, yeah, there's lots down the board that's to like.
Tebow fan going with Mark Andrews over Kelsey, even though he has Patrick Mahomes. Bold strategy, my friend. This is why we're doing mock drafts. And you probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have done that in a real league, but I mean, hey, why not?
I mean, the stack, my brother, the stack.
Yeah. Oh, and team nine here, the
Mm.
auto draft. I love the combo of Cop and Lamb.
That Debo Samuel pick just breaks my heart just a little bit. Um, so this is a tough one here because the value for me right now is at running back, or I can get Kyle Pitts, which is also a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Griff taking the. I mean, I'm kind of trying to get away from um, Tyreek Hill this year
I mean,
a little
Alvin
bit.
Kamara. We did a video on Alvin Kamara, and everyone,
Mhm.
thank y'all for liking it so much. We appreciate all the support lately. He's such a great PPR option, and going
Mhm.
this late behind Barkley and Mixon feels like a bit of a travesty. I know it's not your strategy this draft here, Mac, but
Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to what we were doing here, even though like Aaron Jones is also a lot of fun. But I'm
mm,
just gonna go with Mike Evans and gonna try and swing around and grab Keenan Allen. So those will be my
yeah.
two plays here. Like I
Hmm.
said, just kind of out on Tyreek Hill in the current situation. We have them both ranked, him and Jalen Waddle, a little bit lower than consensus, and I think we're just gonna stick with that. I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, Debo Samuel is interesting guy as well, where similar to Tyreek Hill, they have new quarterbacks. They're so good after the catch. They kind of a game breaker in the sense where
Mm-hmm.
their efficiency in theory can't last.
Right.
But they're also on the other side, the athlete, like you can't doubt. Like it looks like no one can stop Deebo Samuel and Tyreek Hill. They have the ball in their hands. It's like, why are people missing them?
Mm-hmm.
But as someone like us that do projections, that's so hard to project. Cordell Patterson is a great example for that. How efficient he was and how weirdly used he was, getting 3 touches, 3 touchdowns. Like that's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to like those guys.
Really good question from Chris here. How do we feel about stacking in redraft? I know it's a favorable strategy in best ball. Really thought Mac would take Sutton there with a pick. Yeah, you want to toss some thoughts in? I can answer the question about Sutton afterwards.
Yeah, stacking is always beneficial, even in redraft leagues. We've done research. It was a couple years now. We did some in-depth research on it. It's been a while. Maybe we should do another video on it. But really, it's the same thing. You're betting on these players you're drafting. No one plays for second place. It's basically like an X multiplier. Getting that stack every time your quarterback throws a touchdown, also your wide receiver gets that. I think it's such a benefit. If you're starting Trey Lance on your team and you don't have a Deebo Samuel, I think you're kind of hedging a little bit. And that's not if I have the chance to stack, I absolutely will. Now there comes to a point where individual like Mike Evans and Keenan Allen are just purely better, in my opinion, than a guy like Courtland Sutton. And you can play the ADP game. So maybe Courtland gets back to you. Like there's always that too. You can't just ignore ADP as well.
You can't ignore ADP. You can't ignore your own individual rankings and projections. So while I will happily take Courtland Sutton on my team, I have Mike Evans and Keenan Allen ranked much higher. So
it's not the
based on
ADP. Stacking is not the end all be all by a long shot.
No, based on ADP, Courtland Sutton's going as the 67th player off the board. Mike Evans for me was the 35th player. So it's like, why reach at somebody at half the value?
And I was hoping George Kittle. I wanted that stack with George Kittle. Speaking of that, but I was playing that ADP game, and it failed because an auto pick.
It failed,
or because of computer.
You hate to see it. Darren Waller is still available for you though, if you do think that he's an advantage. But
this is true. I think
to go back to Chris's point, like there's actually no advantage in redraft to stacking. It really is just much more so for best ball, because if you have a big game, you just double dip on those points. But for redraft, it's not something that you should, in my opinion, seek out. If it happens to work out for you in that way, awesome. But I wouldn't try to force it into existence. There's really no big benefit in doing so.
I think there is. I'm not looking to force it, but I still think there's a good advantage to stacking in redraft for sure.
Well, last time we did the study, there wasn't a huge advantage. It was minuscule.
Right.
Yeah.
I still love it. I mean, the only thing you do get into a negative is a bye week. You do have some serious bye week problems, especially if you
bye week nightmare.
Triple stack and you have a short bench. Sure, of course, that's a tough scenario. You've got your top quarterback and wide receiver. You don't want to drop one of those. That's always a pain. But whenever I can, I will try to stack. If I'm betting that my wide receiver. So if my Stephon, I guess that's not a bad example. If in a non-Superflex league, if my Cooper Kupp is going to score the 15 touchdowns, I will go and try to get that Matt Stafford.
That's so funny.
Similar to Justin Jefferson, I'm going to try to get that, especially to my number one. I expect them to score an obscene amount of touchdowns, like an outlier amount. That's how I'm picking these guys. So naturally, I'm going to go to my quarterback as well. Oh, and
well, I'm getting stream sniped here by Griffin, who you can't talk me off of. That was just a pure entertainment pick there. But I mean, you do you, brother. That's cool.
He claims it wasn't on purpose.
I'll I'll let you plead the fifth on that one.
I mean, you can go Judy.
No. I see, that's the thing. I don't have the same conviction in Judy that I have in Sutton. And so I'm not willing to, in this case, stack Judy with my Russ just to do so when I can have Deontay Johnson or Terry McLaurin. So
Yep.
This is the point where I'm like, you know what, Antonio Gibson is somewhat interesting to be my RB1. Looking down the board, like, it gets a little bit grosser in that later ADP, but I mean, McLaurin should see tons of volume. Deontay Johnson, pretty solid.
Your boy TJ.
I'm gonna go for one more wide receiver.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of what I said. Like, I just hammer wide receiver and get volume, get that PPR advantage.
Yep. And you're flexing one of those guys. So you're starting the top 3 wide receivers and you're flexing McLaurin.
Yes.
It's not like he's taking a wide receiver for the bench at this point. That would be, if you're only starting 2 wide receivers, that'd be unadvisable to keep going. You'd go with an elite tight end or get that running back. But yeah, and a 3 wide receiver in a flex league, getting an elite wide receiver is great.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question for Orlando in a Superflex league. At what round should you consider drafting your QB3?
I will, in a Superflex league, I'm going to wait as long as I can and try to find a quarterback with like some rushing upside. A Daniel Jones type is great. Marcus Mariota, Trubisky, kind of those guys. That's when I'm looking at the quarterback 3, especially if I go 2 quarterback early.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait as long as I can.
I would as well, and I think you do have to read your draft board a little bit. Like Team 8 and Team 12 have not taken quarterbacks yet, so the longer you allow that value to remain, the better those teams are going to be. So it is kind of tempting to take one of those so that you can get one of these teams to potentially take a quarterback or to just take value away from them or force a trade later. But typically I like to wait until at least the double-digit rounds. I see far too many people reach on their QB3 in like round 7. And at that point, you are sacrificing a roster spot for depth. And that's kind of what Landon just talked about with, if it was a 2 wide receiver league instead of a 3, then we're drafting depth over starting running backs, which is not advantageous. So read your board. Like in this case, it's actually perfect to wait because quarterbacks are not going like they typically would. But that's because we also have 2 auto drafting teams. So
that's true. That don't have a quarterback. Yeah, that's next to the point. Yeah, everyone who is in the house, like for real person, has 2 quarterbacks. And that's the strategy we like. So you'll see that more and more often. Where some of them just have 1 early. And the settings do say 2 quarterback. So ADP should force them to take them, but that's just how it goes. You might get those guys in real life too.
If it was a 2 QB league, there'd be a little bit more urgency to get that 3rd quarterback because you need to start 2, where in this case you have to start 1 and you have the option to start 2, which is an advantage, but it's an option.
Yep.
2 QB, you might want to move on that guy, that I guess QB3 a little bit quicker. But again, you have to kind of read your draft room.
Yeah. I wanted to do that our least favorite player per round, but with this in this Superflex format, it's hard to really navigate unless we had like a different mock draft in front of us.
My least favorite player in this draft so far was Cortland Sutton in the back of the 5th. So funny.
Is it just me? I feel like I don't have Austin Eckler anywhere yet.
No.
I feel like his ADP
I don't either.
Is just somewhere I can't get. I have Dalvin. I don't have Derrick Henry yet either, I guess, but I like Barkley where he's at. Love DeAndre Swift. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we're big fans of Javonte Williams.
Yep.
We had a guy, Mac, who commented on our video today at our bold predictions from last year. We
Oh
said
yeah.
that Jonathan Taylor was going to lead the league in rushing. And they said, yo, you guys killed this. Who's your bold prediction for this year? Like, well, it's not that easy. It's not like we have a magic ball and it's like we just hit on our bold predictions every year.
I'll
But I did,
take Jonathan Taylor, please.
yeah, I did say that we're big fans of, or I'm a big fan of Javonte Williams.
Mm-hmm.
For me, profiles to be that similar type of guy going. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was like a late first, mid second round pick last year, early second round pick, and Javonte kind of fits that narrative. And we know if Malvin isn't playing or doesn't have the time work share, the market share that some people are predicting, that Javonte could be a monster in that elite Denver
Oh,
offense.
sorry, Griff. Did I take your guy? My bad. You hate to see it. Oh, Jamius.
Yeah.
At least you got your QB2. I was listening to a CBS Sports podcast earlier today on a stroll, and they were having a mailbag segment, and somebody said they play in a carousel league, which is a league where you draft as normal. I shouldn't say that. You draft your team, you play your squad, you pick up points, but the only way you keep those points is if the team that the player plays on in real life wins. So, you pick you pick Christian McCaffrey at the 108 in this league, and Carolina loses, but Christian McCaffrey puts up 35 points. You don't get those points. You go to 0. What a wild curveball to fantasy football. I don't know that I would ever want to play in one of those leagues, but sounds very interesting.
I would not. Those good teams, I talked to you earlier about this a little bit. Even the guy like the Chargers have a gauntlet of a schedule to start. So do the Chiefs. So you really have to look at like early season schedule. Who's got these layup picks? Like Denver, even though they have a tough division, have like a good start to the season, but eventually they have to play the Chargers and the Chiefs. So that's a tough go. I don't know who I'm gonna pick here, Mac. I'm running out of time.
I'm gonna get Goat's question up on the board here and just talk about it for a second. Where do you like taking Hopkins? Took him in the 8th, just like this draft. We did a whole video on basically this topic. Just looking at your team though here, Hopkins is your wide receiver 4. You've got AJ Brown, Deontay Johnson, Gabe Davis. So you don't have to start him right away, but you're only sitting at running back 1, right? You need an RB2 and potentially a third. I would have liked to see you spend it there on a running back, a Chase Edmonds, a Damian Harris, a Rashad Penny, somebody that you could use in that slot instead of taking somebody for a flex or a depth that you can't use for 6 weeks. So I still think at that point in the draft, the cost is still a little bit too high, but I do see the upside. It's just a gamble. You have to say, I understand that I am potentially putting myself in a position where I lose or have a losing record for the first 6 weeks. If you walk out of the first 6 weeks with Hopkins on your bench at like 3-3, taking him at this cost, that's probably a win for you. Anything else, like anything lower than that, you probably have a hole to dig yourself out of. So I don't really like taking him this high. And I think Landon's in the same boat, but I'll let you kind of say what you want to say.
Yeah. There is that perceived upside similar to a Michael Thomas, and I just did a video on him. We're gonna release it tonight or tomorrow morning, and it's what once was these players that were elite back in the day, it feels like, or at least for so long. Hopkins was the number one wide receiver in football for a while, but he
Yep.
was bad last year. He wasn't good. I know he missed all those games, but he's also 30 years old. He could miss more. He wasn't really that good when he played, and maybe he's that guy again. But to be honest, when he comes back from from suspension, I'd be looking to shop him because I think there's going to be a lot of players that want a DeAndre Hopkins, want that big name in every league. People just want their team to look the best rather than be the best. So you're going to have suitors for DeAndre Hopkins in every league that you're drafting him in. But I agree with Mac. It's all about roster construction. And
Mhm.
if you can afford to take DeAndre, if you have keepers late that you can start in place. But yeah, he's riding your right now. Chubby took him as a starter on his team, and you're gonna have to make up for it late.
I mean, I kind of see this as like you held him for 6 weeks in order to have an advantage. So why not go out and play him?
Yeah, I
Trading
guess.
him away just kind of feels like if you were going to trade him, you should have shopped him a week or two earlier to, get somebody you could put in place. So I'm not on the side of trading him. I think if you wait out the 6 weeks, you might as well enjoy what he brings to your team. I will draft him, but it's got to be at the right price, and I just don't think the 8th round is the right price. But
I mean,
that's my
um,
opinion.
Chubby, he's new to our Discord. I appreciate you coming in. You've been a great supporter so far. I love Marquise Hollywood Brown. I like the Cardinals in general. I'll
Hmm.
take all the Kyler Murray and Superflex. I think they've got a great team this year, and I actually really like their rookie tight end too. So I think there's a lot of potential. They did not. I just don't know if I love Hopkins at his current price.
Right.
Um, but he's got the upside, like Max said. Like there's always upside.
Yep.
If you keep him for that long, if you can withstand those victories while he's on your bench, heck, he could be that league-winning move. I lead obviously on the Godwin side. He
Yeah.
is 2 rounds ahead of him right now, especially as the season draws closer. But I think Godwin has that elite top 3, top 5 upside that Hopkins just doesn't really have anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry to
No, for
say, my
sure.
dude.
Talking about
Yeah.
roster construction, some interesting stuff going on here in the middle of the draft with Tebow fan reaching on Dameon Pierce before securing that wide receiver 3. So while I like Dameon Pierce and what potentially comes for him this season, I did not like the selection of your RB4 before your wide receiver 3 in a wide receiver 3 league. Start 3 wide receivers. Wasn't the
Yeah.
best decision in my opinion.
And that's one of those things that you need to pay attention to in every league. Just know your scoring settings, whether you're PPR, half PPR, standard, super flex, start, 2 quarterback.
Hmm.
And obviously that leads along into the starting positions. It's a 3 wide receiver league, 1 flex. And the flex is the 3 positions. It's not a 2. If it's a 2 flex league plus a super flex, all right, now we're talking. Now you're fine starting that third or fourth running back, but in this scoring setting, um, you're all right.
Chris Timmons starting his 2 QB draft with Allen and Herbert. I mean, just tell us how. Teach us. My man. You make a
Yeah,
trade? How does this happen?
Allen at the 101, I assume,
Yeah.
and then
There's the perfect response. You won.
yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah.
Everyone went running back. Wow. Well,
Ooh, and I'm on the clock here.
congratulations. Yeah, you won.
Oh, who
What an
took my boy Knox?
outrageous.
Team 9. You son of a gun.
I knew you were going to do that and I wanted to I hate you for that. I really do.
Komet's one of my favorite targets, and Mac and I both share that. It's one of those. You, I think Justin Fields just doesn't have the targets. Darnell Mooney can only do so much, and Komet's just he's gonna get over 100 targets this year. I think it's just
Ah.
it's inevitable.
Yeah, he was the I knew that as soon as I took Ramondre Stevenson there that you were going to take Cole Kmet, and I was just like,
Well, I was looking for my boy Dawson Knox, but Team 9 went and
yeah,
took that
you
out from
lost
under
that
me.
one. You lost that one.
I was going for my boy. I looked at our best ball draft that we did at your lake house, Mac, and
Mm-hmm.
my team is so good.
It's very good.
I was just thinking, like, I got Jalen Hurts at a value. I got Diggs and another good
Jefferson.
Jefferson. Oh, I
Don't
don't
you have
know.
Cup too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cup, Diggs, Jefferson, and Jalen Hurts
Yeah.
and Kirk Cousins.
Now, let's not get too crazy here. It is an 8-team league, 8-team best ball league, so
Good point.
knock you
That's
down a peg.
still taking your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I probably should have taken Komet instead of Stevenson, but
I like this Stevenson pick.
that's what happens when you go with a 0 RB mold. But I mean, to be honest, like Cole Kmet is, as much as we want to call him a breakout, is not a locked and loaded 100% guaranteed
boom,
play.
boom, tight end of the year.
Boom boom tight end of the year. You're still gonna have to do some streaming. You might play some matchups. He's not a
Oh
plug and play
yeah.
option. So
Oh yeah. I have
yeah,
Evan Silva uh is in love with Alberto. Like
interesting.
is absolutely in love with him. I mean, I know Dulcich is on IR.
Mm-hmm.
Um I mean, if you look on his player news, Alberto should be ready for week 1. That doesn't sound great, but he
No,
is in love with him. Um
interesting.
I don't know why. Evan Silva is one of the sharpest guys in our industry. Um, always has his top 100. And yeah, he's just a huge fan of him. And I mean, you get that stack if he ends up falling to you.
There's no chance that he gets to me because Griffin will take him right here, right now. I'm just already clicking on Robert Tunyon.
Hey, that's a good pick too.
Yeah, I'll go with Bobby T.
I think he's kind of falling. He's under the radar.
Oh
You went
wow, look at that.
Higby.
What a gift.
He's trying to
What
suck
an
up to you.
absolute gift. This is where, though, even though like Alberto is interesting, I still don't want to have to rely on him every single week. So I'm gonna just turn around and take Tanyan as well and have both of them and just play
And
matchups.
another great strategy for anyone looking for tips and tricks. If you're still watching the stream, thank you very much. Taking 2 late round flyer tight ends is a great strategy. Now, if you have one of the Mark Andrews, Kelsey, Kittle, Schultz, Waller, Pitts, you don't need 2 tight ends. You really
Correct.
don't. You're
Correct.
never going to start the other. So there's really no point. But everyone behind that, even Hawkinson, Goddard's kind of in that. Knox, Komet, Alberto, they're all in that tier where they're not really every week starters. You can stream them week to week. Hayden Hurst is another good one that Griff just took. Higby Hurst, love it. Good.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's perfect. And to be honest, we cut this 2 rounds. Like typically we'd have a couple more rounds for your bench. This is just a very shallow bench for the sake of just doing a mock draft and being able to fit everybody on screen. But yeah, you'd have a couple more picks here. So you could take some flyer wide receivers, some rookies, some running backs. You could play for some depth, a QB3, whatever. Wouldn't be the end of the world to go double tight end, but typically that's what I would do. The later you take that tight end, the sooner you should maybe take a second one to just play matchups.
Yep. One tip I really like for people that are still watching, if you take Gallup and or Kenneth Walker, I'm not expecting them to start the year if you have IR spots. So when they're declared out, they're not on the pop, they're not going on IR, but they will be declared out.
That's where you have to check your league settings, though,
Yep.
because some leagues will allow out players to be on IR. Some will allow suspended players. I personally believe that the IR should only be for the IR or PUP players. And so if you play in any of my leagues, out players are ineligible.
Yeah.
But So same with suspended, but check your league settings. If they are allowed, then absolutely take that as soon as Michael Gallup gets that, what's the word? Designation, pop
Yeah.
him in there and free up a
Pop him in
roster
and
spot.
then add that kicker defense, or just add
Whatever.
that flyer, the handcuff. You can just add a Kenneth Gainwell, who I'm going to add right now, or Rashad White,
Love
who
it.
I love, Tyler Algier, all these flyer rookie running backs that could have an absolute workload once they start. Take those guys. Once you throw someone on IR, grab that backup running back. That's such an advantage that you don't have to fight on the waiver wires for these guys once the season starts.
Yep. Agreed.
Such a good tip. Take advantage of your scoring settings if it allows those out players on IR.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. So those two players are the ones that come to mind first that everyone seems to be drafting, Gallup and Walker. That will be, I'm not expecting them to start the season.
Gallup's a really nice late round target because when he does come back, he's going to have such a tremendous opportunity as the wide receiver 2 in this Cowboys offense that we've seen Cooper and CeeDee Lamb kind of jockey over and still be top 20 wide receivers. Now there's going to be enough workload for Gallup to really just move himself up fantasy ranks. So I think the wait will be worth it in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jared Goff was going to be my take there. Did not see him go. That's
Tebow
okay.
fan getting in there, sniping your guy. So thanks everyone for watching.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say the only downside of taking a Prescott Wilson is that they both have the same bye week. So we'll be looking for Carson Wentz to carry the load in week 9.
Hey, that's all right.
But that's okay. That's all right.
Who do the Commanders play? They play Minnesota. That's a good defense.
I like
not
the
like
matchup.
A good it's one to target.
Mechie, can you rate my 12-man PPR league team out of 10? Herbert, Henry, Fournette, Pierce, Michael Carter, Jamal Williams,
Keenan Allen, I assume.
I guess that's Keenan. Amari Cooper, Lockett, Van Jefferson, Burks, Kittle. Okay, so you got the positional advantage with Kittle. You've got the positional advantage with Herbert. You've got Henry and Fournette, which is really nice. Pierce, I assume you maybe reached on a little bit in this draft. Carter and Williams are decent backups, but they're more so cuffs. I think your team is solid. I'm a little bit concerned at the wide receiver position. I think you don't have a lot in terms of Cooper, Lockett, Van Jefferson, and Treylon Burks. That's all too risky for me, to be completely honest. If there was somebody else other than Amari Cooper, I would feel a little bit better. But there's some high spots, there's some low spots. I think
is it a star 2 wide receiver league or is it star 3 wide receiver league? Because that third, like having Allen and a Cooper are fine, but you're not feeling comfortable with Tyler Lockett. Week in week out with Geno Smith and then Van Jefferson and Burks. So it's 2. So you're okay. I would try to package a Lockett and Cooper together if you can and try to upgrade at the wide receiver spot. Go to the Michael Pittman owner, DJ Moore owner, heck, T. Higgins, Mike Williams. See if you can get that kind of deal worked out.
See, and this is the example with like a Dameon Pierce when we reach on the hype. He's your RB3 and he's proven nothing. We haven't even seen him on a football field yet. Going out and getting somebody in the 7th round like a Devontae Smith, an Adam Thielen, even a Michael Thomas would have been more helpful to your team than having an upside piece in Dameon Pierce as your RB3. Because let's face it, Derrick Henry and Leonard Fournette are going to be locked and loaded into that RB1, RB2 slot all year. So I would have maybe liked to see you pass there.
Pierce, right? That's his flex spot is Pierce over Lockett, Van Jefferson, Burks.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, is Dameon Pierce going to be that much more attractive as a flex play than, say, flexing Amari Cooper? Because you could have had Devontae Smith, like I said. Adam Thielen, Michael Thomas as your one wide receiver too. So if I had to give this a grade out of 10, I'd probably go like a 7.
Yeah, I thought 7 as well. I think
Yeah.
you'll absolutely compete having the Herbert and Kittle positional advantages. I'd like to see a move to upgrade at the wide receiver spot if you can. So let
Let
us
us know in
know.
the chat. Let us know in
Yeah,
the chat. Anybody else who is still here who wants to give Mechie a rating out of 10? I think Landon and I are about the 7 range.
yeah, for sure.
I do like the cornerstone pieces of Herbert, Henry, Fournette, Kittle. I think we can probably and Keenan Allen. I think we can probably make some trades to fill in some holes. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the 7, my guy. Thanks for the
Yeah,
question.
yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for coming by. Make sure to like this video. We only have 3 likes. We got 8 people watching. Toss a like. It helps
Do your
the
part.
show. Super cheap and free to like a video.
That's right. Well, there it is. Last mock draft of the offseason. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks to those that came out and drafted with us. I can't say keep an eye out for the next one because that was the last, but keep your eyes open for week 1 content. Landon and I are going to be doing some week 1 rankings and getting ready for our first Sunday live stream. If you are new to the channel, we go live every single Sunday 90 minutes before game time. So if you're in the Eastern time zone, 11:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck in your last drafts of the year, and we'll see you soon.